Yeah, it's just another, I can't say it even better more than, I mean, with bodybuilding too, it really is a tight knit community that I love to ask, all the bodybuilders that come on, how important is that? Because I mean, you just look on Instagram and just the positivity that people have, for others posts, like, oh my God, you look amazing, keep it up. But that also applies to powerlifting. But the most interesting thing about powerlifting that I was just so fascinated by is the smelling salt. Have you done smelling salt since you started in powerlifting?
No, I have not. I have not done smelling salt. I've been offered it. Actually, I have a equipment sponsorship with Country Crush, and they sent me some smelling salt. I haven't tried it yet. I know I will at some point. I'd like to try it to experience it. The advice I was given, at least, I know some people tend to use it a lot. They're just like, use it towards the end of, especially if you're using it first, the end of your lifts, because it tends to give you a headache. But it will also help get you into a place mentally where you're stronger.
I forgot what her name was, but she goes by Quadzilla on Instagram. She has the biggest quads I've ever seen in my entire life, and she does it like regularly. And I always just found that fascinating because I always, growing up, you'd see all those football movies where the guy gets hurt and then they give him smelling salt and he wakes back up, and I was like, oh wow, powerlifters do that. I didn't understand why, but then as I started talking to more and more powerlifters, I get why it is, but going into now that you're going to be going into your first powerlifting meet, a question that I like to ask, the guests that I've had on that have done multiple powerlifting meets is that, it's a sport similar to bodybuilding in that it really depends on how you show up and how you do that day. Where, I mean, you could look, just absolutely amazing for a bodybuilding show the night before, but then if you just something goes wrong in your sleep or just naturally just you fill out a little bit more. The same goes with powerlifting though, where you could have, I mean, the day before you could max out on everything and you could hit all of your lists, but then maybe just because something you ate or maybe something with your sleep schedule, you go to the meet and you're not able to do those certain amount of lifts. Or how are you preparing yourself mentally at all for that fact that, I mean, it really is just like they say with football, any given Sunday, it's any given competition, anything could happen.
Yes. Now, going into my first one, I'm really, admittedly, not that knowledgeable, but I know at some point I'm going to start deloading, just kind of backing off a little bit on the weight or the intensity, and then to be able to ramp it back up again, so then I can be able to perform maximally at the meet.
Yeah, it's sort of like in the bodybuilding where you do deload at the end and you just get the best out of it. But when you're doing these lifts and you're at these meets, and I mean the crowd and the energy, but being at the gym where there are sometimes people that come to like hype you up, do you find that you're able to block that out, or do you use that as motivation? Because for me personally, I'm one of those people where I don't really find that much motivation when people are yelling and cheering. I mean, being a baseball pitcher, you kind of had to learn how to block that stuff out. But what is your strategy with that?
That's an interesting question, Ryan. And to me, I hear certain voices in my head. Like when my coach Matt is cueing me, I hear his voice. As far as everybody else, it's more of a feeling of energy. Like if you've got 12 guys screaming at you, go, 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 it's a feeling of the energy that's behind that. Where, when I hear a coach go, stay tight, or he'll send me a cue and I'll hear that, but it's almost like a one-to-one connection with that person. And I hear him during my lift, but then that's it. So then like I said, I use the energy of everybody else or anyone who would be yelling for me. But it's just, it's focused. It's focused on my job at that point.